How's it going, YouTubers? Cornwall here. Thank you for joining me for another video today. And today we've got an exclusive look at Grid, my hands-on experience, and also an interview with Chris Smith, who is the games director. So I was fortunate enough recently, off the back of the strength of this channel, and me being a little bit ballsy by asking for contacts and whatnot in the past, that an opportunity came up to go to Codemasters in Leamington Spa, which isn't too far away from where I live. About an hour and a half drive, and I managed to go and get some hands-on experience. So before we get into the meat of it, I don't want to do what every other YouTuber does, but I'm kind of going to, and that's please, if you do like the videos that I'm putting out, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Off the strength of the subscriptions that I get allows me to do more of these things and bring you guys more content and different things. And it is that a lot of these studios and that kind of look at it, and it does help this channel grow. I've looked at my analytics, and a lot of people watch my videos, but surprisingly 90% of you aren't subscribed, and there's about 10%, probably less than that are subscribed. So please do hit that bell notification, blah blah blah. But we'll get into the video now. Just wanted to get that out of the way with at the start of the video for anybody that skips it at the end and whatnot. So anyway, Grid. So the 2019 game is well underway in terms of development and whatnot, and I've had a early hands-on experience with the game. So we played the latest stable build, just so it wasn't crashing as much, and if I'm honest, I didn't have any bad experiences at all with the game in terms of crashing or anything like that. But again, it is early days, so you know, if there was things like that, then it is what it is. There was a couple of little bugs here and there, but again, it's early days. It's not out till October. Obviously, they're well under the way of getting it out and ready. There's a few technical things that they need to sort out and whatnot, but what I played of it is really, really good. So Chris Smith started off the day, or the morning, talking to us about the game and his passion for the game, and he's come from Playground Games and a few other places where he worked with Ralph Fulton, who worked on the original Grid game, which is really good. And at the end of this video, there is an exclusive interview with him as well. So some of the stuff that you're seeing on screen, some of it is some footage that I've been sent, and the Pontiac that you'll see in one of the races, which is in the daytime, so the nighttime races, the footage I've been sent to be able to share with you guys. But then also the Pontiac, which is in the day, which is at a Shanghai circuit, is actually my footage. I captured that while I was there, so that is actually me driving. Not great at times, but you know, I've played it with no assist and different things, and we'll get into that. So just to rattle off a few different bits and bobs of the details that I found out while I was there. So there's roughly 82 configurations of tracks. So obviously you've got a few different tracks and whatnot there, but you've got long and short and stuff like that, which is really cool. And what was quite interesting is the way that Chris pitched the game to us. So it's not full-on sim, but it's not full-on arcade either. And he kind of pitched it at up to 90% sim and probably 60% arcade. So it's somewhere in there, depending on what you want to do. And one thing that I found that was great is it is very much pick up and play, and the way the game's laid out, which we'll get into the career mode and stuff shortly, is it's a game that you can just have in, or let's face it, these days a lot of people will just have it installed on their console anyway, and just pick up and go, do you know what, I'm going to do this race, I'm going to do that race, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And there's no structure to it, which I know does freak some people out because they like to follow like a bit of a story and whatnot, but this is just do whatever you want and get your rewards and your trophies in this case. So you get something for finishing a race, so it might just be like a checkered flag or something like that, and then you'll get bronze, silver and gold depending on how well you do in there. So it's something, the way Chris said it, it's sim racers go for fun, and fun players can go for serious fun. So it's kind of like, if you are thinking of getting, it's like a little bridge between sim racing and arcade to an extent, but all the handling's there from that beloved Codemasters heritage that they've got Dirt, they've got F1, and they've had all sorts of games. And obviously this has had the Grid games have had a bit of a sabbatical for about 5 years, so it's nice to see that it's back. There are rewards and progressions, so the more things that you do, you get liveries, you get banners, and you can prestige yourself 5 times as well, so you can keep going and going and going, and you'll get little things as you go along as well. And what you'll see in some, or what we saw as well, is when the grid's formed, the camera goes through, and it's got like a little card above each car, and you can customize that card yourself, and you can get different backgrounds, but you can also get, like, if you like, pins that you put in, and these are like little achievements that you'll get in game for doing certain things, get so many first places, doing a certain drift, so much air, you know, things like that. I presume some of those things are going to be in there, and then you get to put those on your card, so you get like your own little customization on there as well. So it kind of shows your accolades, and you can see that if someone's done there might be one for going around a track, for example, in a certain time, and then you can go, wow, okay, yeah, that guy's a quick racer. Obviously some of this is speculative. The AI is very, very interesting as well. So they have 400 individually tuned AIs, and then there's also 72 partner AIs as well. So you have partners within the game, you can send commands to them to say do such and such, and some of them may not do it. Some of them may just turn off the radio and go, screw you, mate, I'm not listening to you, because you've gone for a more of aggressive partner and things like that. You unlock different drivers and personalities as you go through, and like I say, he might hate you and might not want to be a team player because you've picked an aggressive guy, so he may just turn off his radio, and your race engineer might go, yeah, I can't get in contact with him, you've got no chance of him letting you through, and things like that. And this is where the AI and different things is where the game starts to get really, really interesting. So the AI itself will make mistakes. There's what they call a choreographer in the racing, and that will sort out any mechanical issues, engine faults, and just the flow of the race. And it will also pick up to 5 drivers in a race that will kind of have a better enhanced AI, just to give you that bit more of a challenge and whatnot in the race as well, which is interesting. And there are times where I was playing the game, so I got to play a lot. I didn't get to capture everything that I did do, but it was great that the AI were crashing out. They were clipping a wall and spinning out, and you were like driving under their crash, or you're having to whip round because they've crashed out and different things like that. And it handles really, really, really well. So when we first got there, there was myself and about 6-7 other guys, and everyone just kind of went over to this bank of consoles, and I was like, is anybody going on the wheels? And they're like, yeah, you can go for it, you know. I didn't know if they were set up or not, so jumped on a wheel and had a good time with the wheel. There was no settings that needed to be done, took all the assists off, and throughout this entire thing I just whipped all the assists off, because for me that's how I get a feeling for the game, that's how I play the game. And the other guys were playing it with some assists on, and, you know, tweaking around with them, and it does get easier for you, but obviously that's just how I roll. I take all assists off and let's just go for it, and it was loads and loads of fun. You also get something called Nemesis in the game, which is very interesting to find out about. So basically the Nemesis system is the game, if you is that you get basically Rubbins racing. So in this game you're not getting penalties for hitting another car. The only time you'll get any penalties is if you severely cut the track and different things like that, because they want you to have fun, they want you to lean into each other and whatnot. But it does come at a price, because you get Nemesis, and these can carry across to multiplayer. I'm not 100% sure how this works, but the Nemesis system is if you keep hitting a AI so many times, there's a limit of points. You don't really see the points, but it's the limit of how hard you hit them and etc. And once you hit a threshold, that driver becomes your Nemesis, and then during that race their sole goal is to beat you at any means necessary. Now they're not going to do anything that's particularly dangerous as such. They won't pit block you and things like that. However, they will knock you into the wall or give you a little check as you're going along and things like that. I had one that I was going around the track, I had the Nemesis behind me going around a corner, obviously with no assists on, hits me in the back and it spun me around, and it was just crazy. And there's no scripting in this game as such, because it's all driven by the AI. The AI will just tweak it, and they've got this choreographer, if I can get my words out, that sits in the back, another AI that kind of tweaks things and keeps things flowing and whatnot, and you can have all sorts of different little issues and whatnot. And the game is so much fun. Now, the one thing I do want to stress is, for a lot of Forza Motorsport fans that are getting a little bit tired of the game, I don't think it's going to replace that game as such, because it's a different type of game. It's not it's not leaning into the sim side of things as much as some people might be expecting. From this is my personal feeling so far, is it's great fun. I will play it, I will pick it up, but I don't think it's going to replace Forza and what you can do in Forza or Project Cars or GT Sport and things like that, because it's not that kind of game. This is a bit more, I don't want to say arcadey, because arcadey kind of puts people off and you're thinking you're handbraking around every corner and things like that, and that's not the case at all. That the handling is very real, very good, and it's great. I'd have to play around with the multiplayer stuff to see if it could take over Forza, because there is tuning in there. I didn't get a chance to have a look at the tuning, but there is tuning in the game. But I just don't think that it would replace Forza for any online multiplayer leagues and things like that. You can do your own leagues, and there's lots of multiplayer coming in, and things like that. We didn't get to see that because we're in a local environment. But I'm just not sure if it's going to replace that like a lot of people are hoping it will. It may do, but I'd love to be proven wrong. I just don't know where it sits at the minute with all the other racing games. For me, it sits very much in the Forza Horizon section, in that kind of arm, maybe a little bit across. So if you put Forza Horizon one side, you've got Need for Speed another. So put Forza Horizon in the middle, Need for Speed one end, because that is a pretty arcadey game, and then let's say Project Cars 2 at the other side of the spectrum as your three games. And I would obviously Forza Motorsport 7 leans obviously towards the Project Cars side of things. So if Horizon's there, I would put Grid next to Horizon, but more towards the sim side of things, because of the handling and because you're not obviously crashing through walls and going completely off-road nuts and stuff like that. But it's not full-on sim, we need to look at the customizations and different things. There are hopper lobbies, and you can do your own customized lobbies and things, but again, I can't really quantify an answer because I don't know. But what I do know is I had a lot of fun with this game. There was one thing that was quite good, is if you end up doing anything to your bonnet, it starts to rattle before it actually flips up and comes off, and it was a really nice little touch and effect that it does rattle and things. There's not much I didn't like, but then obviously with it not being the full game, I can't say too much about anything that I didn't like, because it's not a finished product, and I know that, and I know sometimes getting the game a few days early, but when you get it a few days early, you kind of expect a finished product, bar the odd bug here and there and a day one patch that we seem to get these days. But it was really good, loads of fun to race in. Managed to drive around Brands Hatch in the GT cars. The tracks are crazy. There's some real life tracks, so your Brands Hatch and whatnot, but then you're going up and down the hills of Seattle. There's the Shanghai track, there's a Havana track, and there's loads of different little tracks that are so much fun to play in, that it's one of those games that's going to be loads of fun. I just don't know how it's going to be. So putting my Delta hat on, my online racing hat on, I don't know where it's going to fit in and how easy it is to be done. But I'm hoping that I'll get a few more chances to get hands on with the game, and get a bit more information out there. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview towards the end of it that's going to come up now. And I hope you're enjoying the footage behind it. I just want to say massive thank you for everyone that is a sub and whatnot, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do these awesome things and meet these awesome guys, and have fun and be able to bring you this exclusive content. So I think that's it for now. If you've got any more questions, I'm trying not to ramble on too much, but just bang them in the comments below, and I'll try and answer whatever I can. There wasn't an embargo as such on what I can and can't say. It was just what I can and can't share physically. But yeah, loads of different cars, loads of different tracks, and it's looking like it's going to be loads and loads of fun. So we'll cut over to the interview, and I'll see you all on the next video. I'm sat here with Chris Smith, game director for Grid. So thank you very much for inviting me to your lovely new digs here in Leamington. So just got a few questions. Presuming you learnt a lot from your time at Playground Games, what experiences from there are you bringing to Grid? And we were just discussing about it coming full circle with Ralph Fulton working on the original.
Yeah, so I think the short answer to that is accessibility. Ralph has taught me a lot. Playground Games, one of the best, in fact, I still think the best development studio on the planet. So I think if anything came across, it was accessibility and understanding how to bring a game to a wide audience, both sim and hardcore fans, through to casual fans.
Yeah, because obviously the Playground game's got a big, well, it's partnered with Turn 10, so obviously they've got the sim aspect. So do you learn from the other Codemaster games? Do you take bits of like handling and whatnot from F1, from Dirt and things like that as well?
So, Codemasters has a long heritage of games, as you know, and this builds on that. The AI, the handling, the fantastic handling guys here. A lot of them worked on the Dirt 2 handling, and they get really excited to work on a grid because they get to do many different classes of cars, which really challenges their art, if you will. And they've done an amazing job, which you'll have played, and hopefully turn this off so you can see the full extent. Or they've also managed to keep characters of the cars, but also turn on those handling to give you more sort of control and fun. If you're more if you love motorsport, but you're not that you're like me, you're not so good at with the assist off, let's say. Like feathering the brake to get around a corner is still an art I'm working with.
So in terms of the handling, I'm not going to say it's easier because you've got more cars in Grid, but is it easier to code for kind of tarmac surfaces as it is obviously for the Dirt guys? They've got a lot of different surfaces that they've got to code in on top of the cars. So does it take that little bit of complexity away from you guys or not?
Look, any good handling model is hard no matter what the surface is. We have like curbs. On our street courses, we have curbs, so we have no friendly, like on circuits, they're all reproductions, of course, that's proper motorsport. When you get to the streets, we have a lot of surfaces which, yes, they're tarmac, but then you've got wet tarmac, and you've got curbs, and you've got bumps, and you've got undulations, and you've got things like, San Francisco hills, where it could be slick, and you're also going down a hill. Times that by all the different cars we have in the game. It's a massive challenge for the handling guys, and they've embraced it and done an amazing job.
Is there anything where they've gone, you've probably gone, oh, can we go here and do a race? And they've gone, maybe not quite yet because it might be a bit too challenging. Like San Francisco, I can imagine being you're like, I really want to go there and it's challenging.
Yeah, you can drive an R26 on the San Francisco hills, so that's pretty extreme. No, the handling guys, they see everything as a challenge they want to master. The thing with the handling guys is it's their adherence to wanting to replicate the car you're driving and embrace that challenge of where it shouldn't be driving. How they do it, I don't know. That's why they're the experts, and I'm not a handling guy. But they just do an amazing job. I can't say anything more about how they. I mean, obviously they get the data from the different manufacturers, and they work with that, so it is representative. But then, of course, they also have to have those cars working in situations that they wouldn't normally work in. So they take that as a challenge, and they take it very seriously. They care more than anyone I've ever met to make sure that the driving experience is as authentic on the sim side as it can be, but keep the character of the car whenever you turn the assists on.
Yeah. I mean, I was just on the wheel and it handled extremely well. Normally I'd go in and tweak the settings, but straight off the bat, whether anybody's been doing anything with it here, but it works really, really well. And it's nice that you can just jump in, and if you've got a wheel, just plug it in and pretty much off you go. And I had all the assists off, and I only spun out a couple of times. One of them was because I had a nemesis and he tapped me from behind. But the curbs are pretty punishing in this. Is that something that you wanted to authenticate from real life?
Well, everything that isn't tarmac is a challenge to a driver, right? So we're not specifically making curbs a challenge. No. Curbs are there, and they will react with the car authentically. How you react to that, and again, if you're a sim driver, that's not something you will have encountered before. As I said during sort of that intro talk, you've got your authentic circuits, but the great thing about Grid is we get to sort of do some hyper-realistic moments with the cities. There are playground, if you will, of fun, where we get to do the non-norm, but what that also throws up, as you rightly said, is not only challenges to the handling guys and making authentic driving experiences, but also to players. And that's kind of one of the joys of Grid, because it is authentic motorsport, but then you have these tracks which you would never put those motorsport cars on, and as you've seen, you're going to have to learn how to overcome those challenges.
As you said, I did a bit of spying on LinkedIn, and I've noticed that you've worked as a freelancer on quite a few VR games. Is there any aspirations or anything you'd like to do with VR for Grid?
I mean, I love VR. At the moment, we're concentrating on PlayStation, Xbox, PCC, and Stadia versions of the game. Once those are out and DLC is on the way, obviously as a company, we'll look at what opportunities there are, and questions in previous press have been, Switch and VR and next gen consoles. Those are all we'll look into those once we get this right. We don't want to distract ourselves with any more platforms until we launch this at the quality bar we want to launch it.
So obviously here we're in a very isolated environment. How is multiplayer going to work? I know you briefly touched on it in your intro. Are you able to set up your own obviously multiplayer events, and then obviously, like you said, invite your friends? But is there anything for leagues and esports or anything like that you're looking into?
So, look, esports, I have a very distinct philosophy on. I don't think you can, unless you're pouring millions and millions in, like Overwatch. I mean, Blizzard did a great job of saying, no, we're making this an esports game, whether you guys want it or not. And they actually did one of the best examples of broadcast esports I've ever seen. My philosophy on esports is that you need to provide enough features for people to start grassroots tournaments. And if that happens, and people embrace it, kind of like fighting games. They came from the Street Fighter locals, and now look at what the fighting genre has gone. I think as a genre and as a title, you need to allow people the tools and see if they embrace the game that way, and then essentially help and enhance. So we have, as you said, we have sort of two options for multiplayer. There's a quick match, which will matchmake you, and there's a cycle of maps. And you can go and play, one button press, you're just playing with people around your skill level. Awesome. The other one is creating events. You can create any event with any of the 82 routes and all the cars and all the tracks and all the times a day and et cetera, all the difficulty. And you can adjust many levers to customize the game to your taste. And you can create your own events. And what we hope with doing that is obviously you can just put it open to your friends. You can go on Xbox and do looking for games, or send out messages to people you've played with in the past and get them to race with you. But the idea of also allowing you to create events is literally, if you want to start up a grassroots grid, and please everyone do that, that would be great, at a local gaming area or just around your house with some mates to start with, you can do that. And if people start broadcasting that so one thing I didn't point out to you guys was at the end of a race, you can watch the replay.
Okay.
Now our replay, we record the whole race from every car's perspective, from every camera angle. So once you've got a race, you've got all these interesting stories and moments that happen in the race. You can, at the end of the race, just record and show off. So we're also sort of supporting the streamers as well. We don't want you just to race and go, oh, it's a really cool thing, I wish I caught it. And then you go back and look at it from different angles or go, what's happening at the first place? And this is happening. So what we try to do is put spectator modes in for multiplayer, create your own event, and then obviously for any race mode, have the replay. What we hope is that's enough tools on top of the platform tools. There's no point in remaking platform tools. It just takes resources away from the game. Those are enough to get people started. Now, we'll see how people embrace this game and what they like more of, what they like less of, what features are absent that they really like. And those are areas for the future that we can focus on.
Okay, awesome. So we know that Fernando Alonso is involved in the game. How much influence and impact is he having in the game? Is he looking at the actual handling and the physics and things like that, or is he just looking at it as a whole, or is he more just a sponsor for a series for his own esports team?
Alonso is a busy guy, so he does play the game, doesn't play it every day or anything like that. He makes comments and talks about stories on the track, which is one of the things that influence us, like racing stories. So it's great to have him on board. So it's really sort of a little bit of both.
Have you had a chance to meet him? Yeah, awesome.
I've literally spoken to him. I'm going to meet him in Spain for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Because he's travelling and getting in here is super hard. But we get the game in front of him when we can. And that's great. I mean, Alonso, what a talent. Actually, a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And obviously, is this a full-on reboot, or is it a full-on
reboot? There's been a lot of questions about that. Is it an HD remake? It's mainly because, we originally showed the tracks that have been seen before. And of course, it's called Grid. A lot of people forget that the original was called Race Driver Grid. So we're just calling it Grid. Yeah, we probably should have put a byline in there, but it's too late now. But the idea is that the first one is the one that had that really good balance, had depth, had a lot of features, and that balance between sim and casual that everyone loves. The second one was quite shallow, a little bit arcadey. It was a little bit about handbraking around every corner in every class, which really wasn't representative. And the third one was sort of a little bit feature light and a little bit more in the direction of motorsport. So what we tried, the reason of rebooting it is to say, no, we're rebooting this franchise with the game that everyone loves.
Okay, that's a bit like rebuilding a classic car.
Yes. Modernising it, everything is built from the ground up.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So at the minute, which is your favourite track?
The new one, Havana.
Why is that?
It's fun. Also Zhejiang, and I'm probably murdering the pronunciation of that. Basically, Havana's not in many games, and Zhejiang's not in many games, so it's great to have some of our new tracks be stuff that isn't sort of stuff that you think would go straight to. We sort of looked for a little bit of uniqueness and trying to give the players something they haven't seen.
And what is your favourite car to drive?
Porsche 911 RSR.